What is entrepreneurial leadership? Entrepreneurial leadership is effectively utilizing the behaviors that SMEs have to use to survive within a larger environment. For those of you that are in smaller organizations, this is what you will be doing day to day. For those of you in larger organizations, this might have been lost, but it is what powers success. Everyone takes responsibility. And sorry, this is also applicable, I think, in terms of the mindset change in HR. Inspire. We believe in the purpose of this organization now and in the future. All of us totally focus on the end customer. All of us understand the whole organization and how it works, not just our own part, so we can see opportunities for success. All of us understand we need to optimize risk, not minimize risk. This is an example of Australian risk management. All of us are focused on constant innovation and improvement to meet the future demands of the organization. This is not Photoshop. These are the tree-climbing goats of Morocco and Oman. My point is, if you get problems with getting people to innovate, I will lend you this picture. You can tell them, if the goats in Morocco and Oman can innovate, then you lot should be able to. Small businesses are always efficient and simple, otherwise they go to the wall. Large businesses have a legacy of cash in the bank for incompetence. Look at Kodak. But above all, it's about brand ambassadors. Is everybody in the organization a proactive brand ambassador for what you do? HR again has the capability to create an environment and create the knowledge that means people will go out and be proactive brand ambassadors. If we go to Maslow, I think what is interesting is I look at it a different way. Hopefully when your people come to work, they have a house to live in, they're getting some food, and they might have a few friends. So as far as the organization is concerned, your challenge is what can we do above the red line? How can we get our leaders to take them on that journey? The problem with that is that fundamentally the self-actualization is an emotional driver, often not a rational driver. So by ignoring that emotional element that inspiring line managers can deliver, we're cutting off our ability to inspire our people to go even further. What is even more interesting is that if you take a model of branding and you look at what's happening in relation to the interaction with customers, at the bottom, it's effectively a transactional interaction. But at the top, with customers, it's about resonance, it's about what about you and me, it's about intense active loyalty. Again, it's an emotional driver. As the retail world knows so well, engaged people create engaged customers. If we can take that principle and extend that out, we have a winning combination. Okay, so we go back to the principles. I think HR can utilize those core ideas. HR is here to help leaders create belief and for us to create capability. And that will then fire the growth of the organization in the direction it needs to go. Because then if this is happening, it will align to strategy automatically, assuming the people at the top have a strategy. I make that assumption maybe over charitably. So I believe that HR's mission is actually this simple. If HR can facilitate that, doesn't matter what they're called, HR business partners, HR entrepreneurs, HR gurus, HR prophets, whatever. That's what we're there to make happen. My experience has been, once you get that going on, it does deliver high performance, but it produces innovation, it produces the best customer service, it produces change and improvement, it produces cost management, it produces risk management, and it even develops talent. Going back to that construction company, 2 years, 40% to 82%. I would recommend this as a great place to work. And this is interestingly, I think, where the ripple effect comes out, in that if those people genuinely care, not only they're giving effort, but if they suddenly see something happening that shouldn't be happening, they'll speak out because they care. If they see something that's more expensive than it should be and they see an opportunity to save money, they'll speak out because they care. And I think that is the opportunity that we in HR have to create that environment. So we can then, if we pull it all together, say, or we can say, okay, let's put in all of these basic skills across our organisation. 10% more time for each line manager, 40% more on-time delivery because they know time management. Best boss action by all leaders, 30% more effort from 60% of people, cascading the big picture, potential increase in effort of 30%, profitability up to 50%, but don't say that, say 15%. Cut out work which does not align to strategic objectives, maybe we can pull out 20%. Show HR can be a revenue stream and not a cost as a result of that. So the script is this. Dear Chief Executive, I can show you a way to get 20% more done in the same time for the same money, get up to 30% more effort from 60% of people, double the effectiveness of implementation, improve customer service and brand value, get up to 10% additional revenue in bottom line, create a future-focused entrepreneurial and innovative organisation for almost no financial investment using intellectual capital we already have. Are you interested? And if they say no, that is the point you resign because you're working for idiots. Now, they should be happier than they look in the pictures. So those are just a few ideas of what I found create that basis that starts the HR process off, then allows you to overlay on that all the excellent talent management stuff, all the excellent performance management stuff, all of the other things we do, because it's being built on a firm foundation of leaders across the organisation who genuinely want to use your performance management system, who want to use your talent management system, and they want to make the organisation successful. That, I think, is the difference. And I think if we start there with simple things, the effect at its most basic. If I get 50 line managers into a room, and I spend 2 hours with them, and at the end of that 2 hours, one, they've identified 20% of the jobs they're doing that they could stop doing and save time. Two, they've all found themselves an extra half day a week that they can spend on doing other stuff. And you say to the chief executive, okay, 50 line managers, we've saved half a day each. They're now going to use that to motivate their people more, which will have another knock-on effect. People say, well, how did you do that? Because we're HR. It's simple. We know how we can get better effort from people. I would just pose those 3 questions to you to apply to your team. How can you develop them as HR entrepreneurs? And don't say HR entrepreneur, just do it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. How can the HR team be developed? And what are the first steps you can say to chief executive and the CFO? Because the CFO, if you present this right, the CFO could be a really good ally. Because if you're saying to the CFO, we can add to bottom line at minimal cost if we get this right, the CFO will be on board with you. And then you can utilize the CFO's numerical expertise to deal with some of the analytics and other stuff. Finally, I just want to finish on just the fundamental point. I went to Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, and the motto of Royal Military Academy Sandhurst is serve to lead. That is how you get success. That is what those things you called out were. That is what is on that list, this serve to lead thing. It's about the leader taking personal responsibility for the development of the team, the people, and the performance of that team. If you can encourage leaders in your organisation, even if it's only 20% of them, to think like that, the effect that it will have will be massive on your culture and on your performance. It's about them doing those simple day-to-day things on that list that show they care about their people, and it's making sure they have the capability to do the job. When I left Sandhurst on the last night, an experienced sergeant major said to me, gentlemen, if you can't remember anything about how to get the best from people, remember this. When you get to wherever you're going, you'll be standing in front of a group of soldiers on the first day. They will all be looking at you and they'll have in their mind this simple question, or 2 questions. You need to get 2 yeses to those questions very, very quickly indeed. And the 2 questions are this. does he know what he's doing? And do I trust him? And he said, if you get 2 yeses, they'll work hard for you, they'll go through hell for you, and if necessary, they'll die for you. Now, hopefully, in your organisations, the latter is not required. But I believe that at the heart of what we do in HR, if we can create an environment where everyone has the capability to do the job, particularly leaders, and everyone trusts their own leader, then we will have achieved a massive amount for our organisations. And we can do that relatively simply. That then allows us to do the more strategic stuff. And from my perspective, that's an inspiring world. And you, CFO and CEO, can start your organisation's journey now.